Hey, it's me and I'm back for another video. We are only a few days away from the start of the 2019-2020 NBA playoffs. The seeding games are almost through with one game day left, even though the results of tomorrow's game has nothing to do with the way the playoffs is going to be set up. Almost all the matchups are already locked in. There's a play-in tournament this weekend, so that's going to be a must-watch. But in terms of the other playoff series for the first round, it's already set in stone. And I'm going to preview the Eastern Conference first because in the Western Conference, the play-in still has to be determined for that last playoff spot. So maybe I'll do that in a few days. But now the Eastern Conference playoffs matchups for the first round is already set, and I'm gonna try to preview as intelligently as I can in order for the viewers to have a preview and have a grasp on what is going to happen. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the playoff format. It's a traditional 16 team playoffs, 8 teams from the East, 8 teams from the West. First round, best of 7, second round, then to the finals. Nothing new here for the Eastern Conference. The play-in didn't happen for the East because the Wizards were horrible in the bubble, so they wasn't able to catch up enough to force that play-in series. So there won't be any play-in for the Eastern Conference. It's only gonna happen in the West. So enough about the West. Let's talk about the East here. The first matchup is between the number 1 seed, the Milwaukee Bucks, going up against the Orlando Magic. The Milwaukee Bucks, of course, finishing the season with the best record in the league. Coming into the bubble, they're expected pretty much to win the East. But in the bubble so far, they haven't been that great. But I think that's because they do not have anything to play for, because they already locked up the number 1 seed. Giannis hasn't been playing a lot of minutes. He got suspended in today's game, anyways. So the Bucks finishes in the bubble with a lowly record of 3-5. Although again, it's not relevant at this point because almost half the games they weren't even trying. So the Bucks, they're the number 1 seed, and Giannis having probably the best statistical season of his career. He finished the regular season with the highest PER of anyone since 1960s. So a heck of a season for Giannis. But another guy who has been stepping up for the Milwaukee Bucks is Chris Milton. He was an All-Star again this year, and he almost came close from the famous 50-40-90 club. He just finished a bit short on the field goal. He shot 49.7% in the field this year, so didn't quite make it, but still on an incredible season from Middleton. And then you got the other role players. You got Eric Bledsoe. You got George Hill. Brook Lopez is also having an incredible season. Robin Lopez as well. And then you got Dante DiVincenzo. So this team, they're deep. But the question always with this team is, how far can Giannis take this team? Because it's been quite the rumors for a while now that Giannis may take his talents somewhere else if the Bucks don't win now. Because looking at the roster, they are in a win now situation, signing a lot of old guys, signing Marvin Williams, signing Kyle Korver, acquiring Wes Matthews and Robin Lopez as well. So they're in a win now mode, and they're looking to be that top team in the East this year. We all know what happened last year. They lost to the Raptors in the Eastern Conference Finals. So they're looking forward to having another crack at it. And even though in the bubble they were kind of shaky, But then again, like I said, they didn't really even try the bubble. So this is now the real test for them. Are they as good as what the record says, or are they good as what people have been saying about them? And 4 months is a lot of time. So uh, let's see if they can make some noise here in the playoffs. And then on the other side of that matchup is the Orlando Magic, making their second straight playoff appearance. We all know what happened last year. They won Game 1 against the Raptors, then proceeded to lose the next 4. Of course, they were being led by Nikola Vucevic and Aaron Gordon, DJ Augustine, and a resurgent Markel Fultz this time. Coming into the bubble, the Magic, again, they were also fighting for a playoff spot. But with the Wizards struggling, it wasn't even like a competition at this point. So the Magic finished with a record of 3-6. Yeah, no, not 3-6, 3-5 rather. They finished the bubble not so good, but they're in the playoffs. They're in the number 8 seed. But I think Aaron Gordon, he is quite unavailable because of an injury he suffered. Jonathan Isaac as well. That's a big loss. We all know what happened to him. He got injured in the seeding game against the Spurs. It was against the Kings. He got torn ACL and he will be out for the rest of the season. Possibly he's gonna miss a lot of time as well next year. So nothing really complicated here. I mean, the Magic, they are one of the best defensive teams in the league. Of course, being led by coach Steve Clifford, but there is no argument here. It's gonna be the Bucks. Bucks in like 4. I'm gonna bet on the sweep. Maybe the Magic can steal a game, but nah, the Magic has no chance of winning this series at all. If the Magic looked really well in the bubble, maybe they could steal a game or two, but looking at the way they play during the seeding games, it's gonna be difficult to even get one against the Bucks. Like even in an off day, they won't win against the Milwaukee Bucks. So again, Bucks in 4. It's not much to look at. Sorry. So let's move on to the next matchup. It's the Toronto Raptors, the number 2 seed, the defending champions, going up against the Brooklyn Nets. Yes, the Brooklyn Nets. And on paper, the Brooklyn Nets, they have one of the best talent pools in the league. But if you look at their roster now, they do not have KD. Kyrie's out. DeAndre Jordan didn't come to the bubble. Same with Spencer Dinwiddie. I think Torian Prince didn't come to the bubble as well. So this is the second stringers and the third stringers playing for the Brooklyn Nets. But they're doing well, quite actually, in the bubble. They're 5-3. They finished with a 5-3 record. Earlier, they put up a really great fight against the Portland Trail Blazers, even though earlier was kind of a non-barren game already for them, but they fought. Caris LeVert was unbelievable. So the Brooklyn Nets finishes with a 35-37 record. Let's talk about the Raptors. A lot of people, ever since Kawhi left, a lot of people have been saying that the Raptors, they already won a title. That's going to be the end of that era. There's no way they can replicate the greatness that they did last year, and somehow they even eclipse what they did last year in the regular season. We're only talking about the regular season here. The Raptors, what an unbelievable job by Coach Nick Nurse. Again, Coach Nick Nurse, he's my Coach of the Year. He has done a tremendous job. After losing Kawhi Leonard to free agency last year, Pascal Siakam became the focus of the offense, and he became that number 1 guy, because on that team there isn't really any clear-cut number 1 guy, because every night someone's gonna do this or someone's gonna score 20 points, or a bunch of guys who score 20 points. They play so well, and they're in the top 5 in both offense and defensive rating. So the Raptors, they're legit. They do not have the name, they do not have the superstar like the Lakers and Clippers had. But this Raptors, they're still a pretty strong contender to win the title. I still consider them like maybe the third best team in the league. No, maybe, heck, I even think the Raptors are better than the Clippers. That's how I'm confident with this team. And a lot of people are gonna say, "Oh, the Raptors, they always choke. And they always choke in the playoffs. The only reason why they won last year is because of Kawhi." But that's not true, because the previous iterations of the Raptors was under Coach Dwayne Casey and DeMar DeRozan. So how can you say that it's the same thing? It's gonna happen here when it's pretty much a different core. I mean, only Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, and Norman Powell, they were the only guys left from those previous Raptors teams. So this team, again, I think this is also a win now mode with a bunch of young guys as well. Because you got guys like Ibaka and Gasol on the pretty much on their last days of their prime. Kyle Lowry as well, although he's been terrific in the bubble. And then you got guys like Brad Vliet, who's trying to, this is basically Van Vliet's contract year, and he's trying to get paid, and he's really playing well this year, being the de facto shooting guard for the Toronto Raptors. And yet you got also the role players, Norman Powell, Terrence Davis. Terrence Davis is super rookie. Expect him to be on the all-rookie team. You got Matt Thomas, who can shoot, and you got Chris Boucher. So this team is deep. And I believe a playoff team should be deep in order to at least make it far. Because you're going to rely on these guys on some situations. You're going to rely on these role players to at least contribute something. It's not going to be all done by your superstar. So in this series, man, I think I could see the Nets stealing one, because they have been scrappy. Like, they do not have the superstars. They do not have the number 1, number 2, number 3 option in that team. But this team, they're fighting. Because I've seen Brooklyn Nets games when the Nets had no business being that close to their opponents. But they did. They beat the Milwaukee Bucks. They beat the Bucks in the seeding game. So they may not be legit, but they can steal a game if you're not gonna bring it. So I can see the Nets stealing one, or two, but I still think it's gonna be the Raptors. But it's not gonna be as easy as people might think. Like, yeah, I love the Raptors, but they can slack off sometimes, and maybe that's just because, again, they have no superstar. They do not have that guy to take over. I don't think Siakam is at that point yet, but he's getting there. But right now, they do not have that one guy who could give him the ball and he's gonna create magic. But this is still a pretty legit team from top to bottom. But I could see the Nets stealing a game or two. But I still think it's gonna be the Raptors in 5. It's gonna be Raptors in 5. So again, Bucks in 4, Raptors in 5. So let's go to the next series, the Boston Celtics against the Philadelphia 76ers. Those who are close to me knows that I have a natural dislike of the 76ers. And I think that's because of the management. I don't really like how Elton Brand has sabotaged the process. And this team is just so unlikable for some reason for me. Like, maybe it's just me, but I don't like the 76ers. They're last year's Boston Celtics. There's something to root against. There's something to them that you just want to root against, and I don't know what it is. But I don't like this Sixers team. But then again, They made the playoffs. But this year, it has been quite a disappointment for the Philadelphia 76ers. Because if you would remember, coming into the season, they were being pegged like as the number one team in the East. You know, they got Al Horford, they got Josh Richardson from the Heat, they re-signed Tobias Harris. So everything was looking up, and then the season happened, and this team literally can't win on the road. Coming into the bubble, they were 10-24 on the road. Here's my thing: you can't be a legit Eastern, legit title contender if you can't win on the road. But the Sixers, they are a great home team though. But you can't expect yourself to be that elite if you can't win on the road. That's one characteristics of a championship team: the ability to win on the road. And the Sixers, they haven't done that this year. You know, so now we're all on the neutral side, so that shit doesn't matter at all. But I still do not like their chances. Ben Simmons is out. That's going to be a big loss for them. So, but I'm going to talk about the Celtics first before I talk about what the Sixers might need in order to win the series. So the Celtics, on the other hand, a lot of people expected them to be in the mid-tier. They didn't expect the Celtics to be this good. But I thought at the beginning of the season, people are sleeping on them. And they have proven me right. People have slept on the Celtics at the beginning of the year. And they have been a consistent number 3 team in the East. You got Jason Tatum, who's breaking out. Just had his first All-Star appearance. Making noise for the All-NBA team. And then you got Jaylen Brown, who just came off signing a good contract extension for 4 years. And he's been playing well too. And then you got Kemba Walker, who's pretty much Kyrie's the better player, but Kemba's the better fit on this team. And he has been playing tremendously as well. He was voted into the All-Star as a starter. So everything's looking up and up with the Celtics team. Do I think they're going to win the title this year? No, they're not yet. They're not there yet. But again, they can pretty much make some noise here. And this series, it all comes down, I think, to Joel Embiid. Because Celtics, yes, they might be the better team, but the best player on this series is on the Sixers, and that's Joel Embiid. And if the Sixers, if they want to win the series, Embiid needs to dominate. I mean, because if you look at the Celtics lineup, who's going to guard Embiid? Al Horford's not there anymore. He's on the Sixers. So, in order for the 76ers to win, Embiid needs to dominate, especially now without Simmons. The problem with him and Simmons on the floor, I get it, they get along off the court, they do not have any problems. But on the court, you can see the problem between these two. Because Ben Simmons thrives in a full court, run and gun type of game. Because he likes to bring the ball down the court, make some plays, make some flashy passes. And Embiid, he's a guy that doesn't thrive in that. He's a guy that thrives in the traditional post-up game, half court. I'm gonna set this all up. I'm gonna post up Embiid, or maybe Embiid's on the top of the key. He's gonna make a play. So now that Embiid he's gonna be the lone superstar on that team coming into the series. He needs to take control, because I haven't seen Embiid take control of a series before. He's been in 2 playoffs, and I haven't seen him dominate like he should have. Because at his best, Joel Embiid is probably a top 5 center in the league. So this is his chance to put his stamp among the legends by dominating this series. That's the only way I can see the Sixers winning this. Because if Joel Embiid dominates inside, it's going to create more open looks for guys like Korkmaz or guys like Harris. It's going to create more options on offense, because defense would double team on Embiid. they're gonna second guess on what he's gonna do. So they need to treat Joel as if he's like Hakeem in this situation. They need to post him up, and if the double comes, you kick it out to the open guy. Maybe it's Korkmaz on that corner, Harris on the wing, or heck, even Josh Richardson or Shake Milton. They have a lot of shooters, but they do not know how to channel that into this great offense. Because the 76ers, yes, they're a great defensive team, but they're in the middle of the pack on offense, and with the talent, the caliber of talent that they have, they should be like top 10, they should be like top 5 on offense. So, in this series, Embiid needs to take over if they're going to have a chance. If he doesn't, this is going to be Celtics in 4 or 5. Because the Celtics, again, with great coaching from Brad Stevens, they're going to pretty much get the job done, I think. As long as they just play their game. Because the Boston Celtics, they may be the 3 seed, but I believe they can beat the Bucks or the Raptors in a series. That's how good the Celtics are. They may not have the higher seeding, but they may not have the depth that the Raptors and the Bucks have, but they can absolutely beat them at their best day. So, sorry, they can beat them if they're on their best day. So, but prediction here, I think Celtics are gonna take this in 5 or 6. 6 if Embiid dominates a game or 2. But if he's not gonna be consistent, I can see the Celtics winning this. But right now, I'm gonna predict the Celtics winning this. No upset here this time. And finally, I think this is the most exciting series of them all, for some reason. And normally I don't find the Heat or the Pacers exciting. So the Miami Heat and the Indiana Pacers, it's still unclear who's going to be number 4, who's going to be number 5, but that matchup, that's going to be set. Again, with no home court advantage, it doesn't really matter. So the NBA scheduled already their games. So the Heat and the Pacers, 4 and 5, they're still going to play tomorrow. They have a game scheduled for the last game of the last day of the seeding games. They will have the game tomorrow. Probably they're not going to play their guys anyway, so because it's pretty much again not a non-bearing game at this point. So the Heat and the Pacers, this is going to be heated, because if you would remember a while back, like a January game, TJ and Jimmy went at it, and Jimmy said some things. TJ also said some things, and we looked forward to their matchup in the bubble and in their lone meeting so far. The Heat, they dominated the Pacers. They kept doubling on TJ. They were able to contain him. So the Miami Heat, they're probably the surprise of the season, because last year they missed the playoffs, and this year they added Jimmy Butler, they added super rookie Tyler Hero and Kendrick Nunn, who's also in consideration for the Rookie of the Year award, and then you also got these guys like Duncan Robinson, who's having a career year, he's gonna get paid. They got Andre Iguodala and Jay Crowder in the mids at the deadline. So the Heat, they're also in a win now situation, also with a bunch of young guys. But it's a good thing that they made the playoffs this year. They're one of the top team in the East, and coming into the bubble, they sported the record of the record so far in the bubble is 3 and 4. They're still gonna play a game tomorrow. Sorry, I've been speaking for like 30 minutes, so pardon me. And then you got the Indiana Pacers, who also came into the bubble solid 5 seed with a 44 and 28 record coming into their final game of the seeding games. They started hot in the bubble. T.J. Warren had that incredible 53-point game against the Sixers, and then he followed up with 34, and he followed up with 39, and then he kind of had that stinker against the against Phoenix Suns. I can't forget the undefeated Phoenix Suns, and then he bounced back, and then he lost again to the Heat. It's man, how do I predict this? Because the Pacers they started out hot in the bubble actually. At the start of the bubble, you could actually convince me that the Pacers can beat the Miami Heat. But after seeing the game a day ago, that's gonna be hard. That's gonna be hard because I think the absence of Sabonis would actually affect them more than they thought that they'd be. Of course, we all know Domantas Sabonis. He left the bubble to nurse an injury to his foot, and then Jeremy Lamb as well. He's not gonna play, and then Victor Oladipo. He's also kind of shaky. Like he had some moments where he'll show like maybe he's ready, and then maybe he's healthy now. Because remember, he had 4 months to recover. But there's still times in the seeding games where he looked rough. He didn't really have that quickness that he had before. But there were flashes of brilliance throughout the seeding games. So I can't really predict this Indiana Pacers team because TJ can get hot at any moment. In this bubble, he's like the bubble MVP before Book and Lillard took over. So here's the thing. I watched that game like 2 days ago. The Heat played great defense on T.J. Warren. They were doubling him when he gets the ball, and he contained him to like 12 points. So if TJ is not going to do his thing, it's going to be difficult for Indiana to at least win 3 games in this series, I believe. Like they need constant production from all of their guys like Malcolm Brogdon, guys like Victor Oladipo. Victor Oladipo, for the Pacers to win, he needs to step up because I don't like what I'm seeing from Vic so far in the bubble. He looked rough at times. He doesn't have that consistency that you're trying to find in a franchise player like Victor Oladipo. So, and then TJ can get hot, but if the defense is not focused on it, but he can still deliver. And then you got Miles Turner. He needs to step up big defensively in order for the Pacers to have a chance, because the Heat they do not have any bigs. They do not have any legit. I don't know. Fuck. What if? Fuck. I was wrong. I'm sorry. He needs to step up because he's gonna have a great challenge in Bam Adebayo. So on the Heat side of the spectrum, Goran and Jimmy are having health problems, but is Kendrick Nunn back? Because the last time I heard from Kendrick, he left the bubble to attend to some personal matter. I do not know if he's back, but I think he's going to make it back in time for game 1. And then Duncan Robinson, he needs to get hot. Because in the regular season, he's one of the best shooters in the league. But it's different come playoff time because defense, they're going to be more focus on you. They're going to trap you more. They're going to make you pass the ball when you get it. So, but man, I want this series to go to 7. Teams, they're going to have a lot of adjustments every game. So I want this series to go to 7 games. Maybe with the Heat. I think the Heat win this one in 7. Yeah. And Jimmy Butler will have a game in which he will get a tech. A suspension is bound in this series. That's what I'm sure. I'm sure of. A suspension is gonna be bound. Either I think Kelly Olynyk. I still hate Kelly Olynyk for some reason. Fuck that guy. So Heat in 7. That's my ultimate prediction to it. My fearless, bold prediction. Heat in 7. So that's it for this video. If you have your own prediction, if you have your own outcome as to who's gonna win these respective first round series, you can always hit me up in the comment section. Playoff starts on Tuesday, August 18 here in the Philippines. Let's see the schedule for like the first day of the playoffs. Let's see. So, oh yeah, here we go. So the first round of playoffs, the schedule goes as follows. The Nuggets Jazz will play the earliest game at 1:30 in the morning. God. And then followed up by the Raptors and the Nets at 4 a.m. And then Celtics Sixers at 6:30. And then you also have the Clippers and the Mavericks to finish it off at 9 a.m. at appropriate time. So that's it for this video. Good night, and stay safe, and